Alrighty, it's your boy Zxous, and we're back with another Goddess of Victory Nikke video. And today we are going to be fixing up the, April 2023 must-have tier list, right? As you guys know, every single month we are going to be updating this tier list with the new characters and rearranging old characters' placements and stuff like that. So, let's talk about it. So, obviously the two new characters we've gotten, I want to say for March that wasn't here before. I did this in like middle of March. That's why Biscuit's already placed. If you haven't watched that video, definitely check it out. But this is going to be for April, or I guess for March, the rest of March, and then obviously when we do the next one in May, it's going to be for all of April, like for the characters that come out through April. So keep that in mind. Now we have two new characters here, right? Obviously Nihilister and Sakura. Now, I mean, Nihilister is a free-to-play character, so, like, realistically, it's kind of, like, I mean, she's guaranteed, right? Is she a must-have character? I would say she's a must-have DPS. I want to say she's going to be your, like, probably your second best burst 2 DPS in the game. I still think Guilty is better, just because of how Guilty works, personally, but, there is that, right? We're going to talk about all these characters here. Now, we want to move some characters too. I feel like I don't feel like I need to move anybody. I feel like this is accurate right now. I don't think I need to move anybody. Maybe, if I'm considering endgame, maybe Miranda. Miranda. I don't know. I believe she's just a supporter, right? Only because she's the only burst 2 character, or burst 1 20-second Elysion character. So she's kind of a must-have to get a full cycle going on in the tower. But besides that, not really. Must-have tanks, I probably gonna put Polly down and keep it like this. Probably put Jackal up for PvP purposes. But I think for must-have tanks, I feel like besides, I want to say, the burst skill, which is a 40-second burst skill for Polly, you're not really getting anything else out of her. I mean, she does have another attack buff, I believe, every, like, certain amount of shots or every 5 seconds or something like that. It's only a 5% attack buff, which is not really that crazy. I mean, an attack buff is an attack buff at the end of the day, but it's not something where it's like, da-da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? But I believe is it after a certain amount of shots, or I don't remember. After 5 normal attacks. Yeah, my bad. So yeah, but she does give everybody an attack buff. But obviously, she does have sheer damage too. Pretty good overall. I mean, not bad actually. Maybe I could keep her in must-have tank, right? Because again, even here, right, damage increase in sheer damage. Sheer damage taken to allies with the 2 allies with the lowest HP. That is not her as well, right? So not bad. And then Jackal again for PvP purposes. So let's go back to Sakura, because I think this is where we want to talk about Sakura. So Sakura again, I don't feel like is a character needed. I generally don't think Sakura is a character that you need. Now, okay, let me reword this. She's a character who's very, very good against win-coded enemies. That's her purpose, right? As much as people want to say 2019, Chapter 20 and Chapter 19 are all win-coded enemies, you're never going to summon for a character, especially just to clear, like, okay, I will never summon for Sakura just because she makes it that they do less damage. If you still need damage, if there was no timer in this game, then I feel like she would be so much better. But because it doesn't matter one bit. I feel like it generally doesn't matter one bit if she's lowering the damage they do to you, if you cannot even do the damage back to them. If you can't even clear it regardless, why am I, like, it just doesn't make sense. You're just going around in a circle at that point, right? It doesn't make sense for you to have a character like Sakura so that win-coded enemies do less damage to you for you to still do no damage to them, right? You need damage at the end of the day because there's a timer in this game. If there was no timer, by all means you could just stall it out, but even still you couldn't, because she only has a 30-second. It's only 30 seconds she lowers it. If it was the entire game, then that's a different story, but it's only 30 seconds. So regardless, I don't think Sakura's a character you need. The only reason why you would need her is for the train, but anything else, she's nothing. That's it. Win coded enemies, but basically the train. That's it. That's it. As of right now, it's only the train. You don't need her for tower. You don't need her for PvP. You don't need her for anything else besides win coded enemies, aka win coded bosses, aka the train. And just how I genuinely feel about this character. I don't think she's a character you're gonna need right now. Not at all, but maybe in the future, I'm sure months and months, maybe years from now, they're going to have a lot of win-coded bosses where this girl is just a staple on that, right? Like right now, she's just a staple on train, but I'm sure we're going to have so much more stuff in the game where she's going to be a beneficial character right there, right? I feel like what would have made this girl a must-have is if this didn't say win-coded enemies. If it just said damage dealt by enemies decreased, but it was still one time lasts for 30 seconds, then she would be a must-have because she would make every single enemy in the game, every single type of enemy in the game do no damage to you for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is enough time, I want to say, for scoring, right? If obviously when it comes to train and stuff, it's all scoring, right? For people, for example, if you can't beat the train because it kills you too fast, having this character, even if you don't have the damage, having this character will still make it that you can get farther in the train than you could before without her. Obviously, because the train is no longer going to do damage to you where you're going to die. And especially if you're running her with this new Ludmilla comp, it's almost too criminal because Ludmilla takes literally no damage. He literally takes 0 damage because of how her second skill works and how this burst skill works, right? So I generally think Sakura is a character that is not needed right now. You could say she's a could-have support because she also does have the general defense support on her first skill. But again, it's a skill that will take very long to activate. Not very long, but it will take some time to activate. You need to use 3 normal attacks. You need to use a total of 30 normal attacks. Now, you can get it quicker if you manually use her, right? If you manually use Sakura, you can get this buff quick. You can get it quite early on. But the thing is, I feel like in most content, you're not really trying to control her, right? In most content, especially if her main focus is the train, they're not trying to control and manually play with her, right? You could do it to get the stacks going really quickly, but I feel like by the time you're done with the stacks, it's already too late because the projectiles from the train, the missiles are going to be coming on. Like, you probably have, for example, in train, are you going to rather try to build up a full stack of her defense, or are you going to try to do as much damage as you can to the missile turrets and whatever as soon as possible with like Scarlet or freaking Modernia, right? It comes down to simple questions like that, and obviously you have simple answers as well, right? It doesn't matter for the defense if the train is still going to one-shot you. Even with just this defense, I feel like even just with this defense buff, the train is still going to do quite some damage to you. But with this ability here, the train will do nothing to you. Next to nothing, I want to say, right? So you could have her and could have support, but right now, out of all the things in the game, her main focus is train. I'm not going to say she's a must-have for chapter. I'm not going to say she's a must-have character because chapter 20 and 19 are all win-coded enemies. Because again, that's just she's not a staple for that, right? Sure, she makes win-coded enemies do no damage to you. But if you don't have the damage, and you do not have damage with this character, but if you do not have the damage to kill those enemies still while they're doing no damage to you, what difference does it make? You're just going around in a circle, and that circle is just a losing streak. So I generally don't feel like she's a character that's really needed. I feel like obviously Nihilister is a character that's very much needed, especially since she's a very good pilgrim. One, she is a pilgrim, right? And she's the only other burst 2 pilgrim in the game. Besides her, the only other burst 2 pilgrim in the game is Noah. So if you don't have Noah and you want a full burst rotation, you're gonna need her. If you don't have Noah, we need one more burst 1. We need one more burst 1 pilgrim, so it's not only Rapunzel. But yeah, this is definitely going to be my tier list for must-have in April. Must-have in, must-have tier list for April. I think Jackal is probably a character you're going to want to must-have, like, for PvP purposes. I think Ludmilla, just for the train, you could, if you have Sakura, right? It's not Lamilla alone. You need to have Sakura to have Lamilla for the train, but that's not enough of a reason for me to say she's a must-have, right? For one type of thing in the game. If the train was the only thing in the game, by all means, she'd be a must-have, but it's not. It's just one of the many things in the game. So it's not really fair for me to say, she's a must-have for the train, but this is not a must-have tier list for the train. This is a must-have for general content, and besides the train, she's not doing anything else really, right? The defense is there, sure, the defense buff is there, but it still takes too long in PvP. She will die in a majority of the stages. You have to manually play with her. You're just wasting time and wasting damage with other characters you could rather manually play with. That's how I feel. So let me know if you guys agree or not. Yeah, I mean, I don't really think you can really make a case for this character. I mean, besides the train, honestly. But let me know what you guys think. It's going to be your boy Zxous, and I'm out. Later. Peace.